Hey everybody. So today's a big day. It's a big day for the Jewish people because today is Holocaust Remembrance Day. It's Yom HaShoah. The Yom HaShoah is, I think, more important now than it was 2 decades ago because I grew up with Holocaust surviving grandparents. So every day was Holocaust Remembrance Day. Like every time my grandmother gave me cookies and I saw the numbers on her arm, it was Holocaust Remembrance Day. Every time my grandfather told me a story about what he went through in the war, it was Holocaust Remembrance Day. Forget my parents, the children of survivors. They knew every day was Yom HaShoah. But now, as our beloved heroes, or as the world calls them, survivors, but they're not survivors, they're heroes. Now, as our heroes get older, it's harder to hear their stories, and so we got to share it for them. I want to share with you one. My grandfather once told me a story of where he was invited to a shul in Boca Raton. And they gave him an aliyah. This is years ago. And as they gave him an aliyah, he said his name, the gabbai, the guy who called him up, looked at him, stared closely, and started to cry. Afterwards, he followed him out, and they walked out of shul, and he said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Do you recognize me?" He says, "No." He says, "Do you recognize me?" I said, "No." He says, "No." It's a long story. I don't have the time here, but my grandfather was a caretaker of the horses at the end of the war. And one day there was a pile of bodies that was dumped by the Nazis, and he saw some moving. And in the middle of the night, he went in to peek around and saw that there was a little boy that was still alive. And at constant danger to his own life, every night he snuck him a little bit of bread and some water and ultimately saved him. When the Russians came to liberate his camp, he ran with this little boy and gave it to the Russian soldiers. Never saw him again until that weekend in Boca Raton. This man grew up, family, everything. My grandfather told me the story, and I asked him, I said, "How in the world did you do it? How did you risk your life every day? How did you just do that?" And I remember him saying, "I just did. I saw that they needed it, so I just did it." And I remember thinking, that's how he lives his life. That's how this generation lived their lives. They didn't overthink it. There was a need, they filled it. They came to America. They didn't have the language. They all suffered from PTSD. They didn't have any money. And they just did it. They just got to work. They just figured out a way to put food on the table. They just figured out a way to raise family. Their kids got older. They sewed clothes. They borrowed. They worked hard. They just did it. They moved to Israel. They supported an entire country. They gave birth to a whole generation. They just did it. They moved throughout the world. We're living off the backs, in many cases. My other grandparents in the Middle East did not have an easy life either. But we're living off the backs of a generation of people that just did. They didn't overthink. They didn't question. They just did it. They kept on moving. And the secret to their success was that they just kept moving. They kept doing. They never stopped. And I think now with what's going on in the world, sometimes we're paralyzed by our environment. Sometimes we not sure, should I do this? Should I do that? What's going to be? How come? I wish. And I wonder if we would just take a page out of their playbook. When there's something to do, do it. Someone to help them. Don't worry about the future. Don't worry about what's going to happen. Don't think 5 steps ahead. Just do. And the more we do, and help and grow, the more we're living like them. The more we're following their footsteps. And now, Yom HaShoah isn't just a day to remember them. Yom HaShoah is a day in which we stand on their shoulders. And we keep on building in their honor and their memory. We live as the heroes that we can be. It's the greatest testament to the heroes that they were.